Hey everybody, it's Comic Crack back with another video. Um, I went out today to kind of continue with the last bit of Christmas shopping, which I did achieve some of, and ended up with a stack of comic books, I think they're called. Uh, yeah, I don't know. You tell me what the hell happened. Um, I went to two places today. I'm kind of looking to grab whatever Marvel Zombies comics I can find. Mr. Tom's birthday is Christmas Day as well, which I've mentioned before. And for his birthday present, um, I've got a couple of things that I have for him already, but I also want to just kind of get as many of the Marvel Zombies from various series as I can, just to give him as well. So while I was there, of course, hey, why not? Why don't I just look around and see maybe blah blah. So it's almost a sickness. Um, One of the places I went to was near, was across the road from a place I used to live at, and it's is it Comic Cave? Is that what it's called? I keep blanking on this particular name of it, but it's a smaller shop. I've talked about it before. He's a nice guy. He's got some good stuff. He doesn't have tons of amazing back issue bins filled with things, but he gets in some pretty good series as far as new issues go. And then along one wall, he's got a lot of bagged mini series that he sells for pretty cheap. Uh, yeah, so there's usually a couple of gems there. I think we've bought one or two chunks of things from him before, but I found a Marvel Zombies book there, a one shot that I picked up, and as I was heading up to the cash register, just kind of had a look along that wall and found this that Johnny Zero was talking about. Brain Banks. This is Helix from Helix Comics, part of DC Comics line, that's more sci-fi oriented. This is issues 1 to 6, and it was, pardon me, it was $5 Canadian for all 6 issues. Excuse me, sorry, for all 6 issues. So what the hell? Why not? And then there's just kind of a look at number 6 on the back. So yeah, another Johnny Zero recommendation checked off the list. I've got a few things from him on a list that I'm looking forward to trying out. And it's good to find the whole thing in one shot. The next place that I went to is called Cover to Cover. He sells a lot of books, but he also has quite a fair section of comic books. And he's a super nice guy. I never see him at any of the mini conventions. As far as I know, he doesn't send comics or anybody to the bigger convention to try to hawk stuff there. A lot of his books are pretty decent quality. He does sell some CG Seed stuff, not tons, but a few things. But his back issues are generally higher quality, higher grade, so you are going to pay for them. And he's got some great stuff, from Daredevil to Doctor Strange to Namor, early Fantastic Four stuff, Avengers, you name it, he's got something that you're really going to like. But as I say, some of those prices are, it's just because of the grade, the prices are a little out of my comfort zone as far as wanting to pay. I've never tried to deal with him before, like as far as, hey, I'm buying a huge amount of comics, will you cut me a deal? Because when I've gone, I usually buy stuff that's either A, really dirt cheap, like $1 a piece, sometimes a bit less, or I buy just 1 or 2 issues of something that's a little higher quality. But I don't even do that a lot. Like I say, because of how much some of the things are. So I don't know if he's open to any sort of deals. After today, though, it's one of the things that I'm going to try to do. Maybe see if I can do some sort of, if I fill this short box filled with comics, what kind of deal will you give me, you know? The other good thing, and that just kind of leads me into the other good thing that he does have, is underneath the kind of Marvel DC, he's got a whole bunch of long boxes in those same shelving, like just down lower. Not as easy to get to, but that's where he keeps all his Valiant Comics series, Dark Horse, PC, Eclipse, First Comics, Eagle Comics, Quality Comics. And then he's got boxes filled of just random indie publishers. He's got some Epic Comics as well, too. So he's got a really good stash of stuff that I'm really into right now that I seem to be really focusing in on as far as what I'm buying. And I put a lot of stuff back. I kind of really cut myself off within an individual comic price tag, and then kind of an overall price of what I wanted to spend, which was good because I could have easily walked out of there with 3 times as big of a stack as I got with no problem whatsoever. The new thing that he's started to do, which I haven't seen him do ever before, is he's got about, I don't know, 6 long boxes that are filled with same kind of thing as this Brain Banks that I showed you. A mini series or a few issues in a row of a run that he kind of packages together and sells for a cheap price. So I picked up 2 packs of those. Again, there was a number of them that I put back. I again just really wanted to just limit myself and not just go nuts, because I could have done a lot, and I didn't even look through all of the boxes. I just looked through, I think, 4 of them, 4 out of the 6. I believe there was 6 or 7. So I looked through just a little bit over half of them. This is Michael Moorcock's Hawk Moon, number 1 to 3. It is a 4-issue miniseries, but still, the first 3 issues for $1. I decided to give it a shot anyway. Not a bad score. So number 1, number 2, and number 3. They're not in the shittiest condition, but they're not by any stretch in beautiful shape, but it does not matter. And then the other bagged collection that I got was Warp. Sorry, my makeshift stand here really doesn't work for these big stacks. So this is issues 1 to 5 for $2. Number 5 is one that I already have, but even 4 issues for $2 is a sweet deal, 50 cents a pop, so I'll take it. And now I've got at least the first 5 issues that I can read to really get a sense of if I want to keep hunting it down or not. The rest of these were single issues, kind of running anywhere from $1 to $3, right around there. I think there's one issue that's a little bit more than $3, but I wanted to pick it up and give it a shot. First things first, Nemesis, the Warlock. In the last kind of video like this I showed, I had number 1. So there's number 2 for $2, and then number 3 for $2 as well. And both of those again are Sam Keith covers, which I really like this one. They had a few other Nemesis, the Warlock issues from a later series too, but they were a little more pricey, and again, I didn't want to kind of just dive in too much since I haven't really read any yet. So the first 3 issues now I have, because I have issue 1 already. Some of the other covers, though, were just amazing. Um, Spellbinders from Quality Comics. This is number one, 52 pages for $1. So it has a Nemesis story in it, has Amadeus Wolf story in it, and it has a Slain story in it. So that's kind of exciting. And then I got number 2 for $2. Yeah, not much really to say about those. More Quality Comics goodness, so I'm sure I will enjoy them. Uh, he had a bunch of Slain the Berserker, a lot from later in the series, and to be honest, the covers on those were so unappealing that I just stuck to the earlier issues. So I picked up 2 of these. This is issue number 11 with a pretty badass, bloody and weary warrior cover there. So $1.50 for that one. And again, this particular Slain the Berserker series, I have a couple of issues already. And then this is number 13 with a very ample woman on the bottom of the page there with legs that are just incredibly I don't even know how to put it. Word that I always use is sturdy. She's a sturdy looking woman. There you go. That was 2.25. And then I managed to fill in some gaps on my Rogue Trooper. King size spectacular Rogue Trooper meets Sister Sledge with some incredible looking purple hooded gentleman there. So that's pretty great. More for this series, $1.25 for all of these Rogue Troopers, I think, that I got. So that was number 6. That's number 8. Another fantastic looking cover. And number 10. And then finally from Rogue Trooper, issue number 12. Like when I say that this place was a landmine or a gold mine, maybe not a landmine, a gold mine for these type of comics. They ran the gamut, but the amount of quality comics that he did have was pretty incredible. There was a 2000 AD Presents section that was pretty enormous. I didn't pick any of those. There was Judge Dredd for... It was almost a full long box of various Judge Dredd comics from, from Quality, from Eagle, from other publishers. It was impressive. So he's really got a whole shitload of books that I would love to have. So again, like I said, maybe there's a chance to strike a deal with him there at some point. I put back some of the things that I put back. He had a chunk of the Evangeline series that I recently had, I think, 2 issues from. One was the special, one was part of a series. I put those ones back because they were kind of on the higher end of what I wanted to pay per issue. And for something that I wasn't, like I really enjoyed the story, but after reading it, it's not like I'm really ravenous to pick up more. It's really this Quality Comics stuff that I'm curious about the most. So I ended up putting those back. He had a whole bunch of John Sable books as well too, which has kind of jumped a little bit to the forefront of my mind because I just read Shatter, the first issue, it was so good. It was a really good read. At the back of Shatter, they have an advertisement saying, if you enjoy this, make sure that you keep your eyes out for the John Sable series because Shatter is the backup story in some of those issues. Now, I haven't looked any further to see specifically which issues, or maybe it was just 1 or 2 issues. I don't really know, but he had a whole big chunk of John Sable stuff as well. John Sable Freelancer, is that what it's called? Again, which I left behind just due to imposing limits on myself. Can't grab everything all the time as much as I want to. So it's great to know that all these books are there and they exist in his domain. And then one I haven't seen before from Quality. This is a 4-part miniseries, and I think when I was looking on my comic app, it actually had it as 5 issues, so I'm not sure what the story is there. But this is something called The Steel Claw, which I love the look of this cover. Well, I love the look of both of these covers, actually. 10 seconds ago, Louis Randall was a man. Now he's a nightmare. And for $1, and then for $1.25, the Steel Claw #2 of 4. The only 2 that he had, unfortunately, but there you go. And that's a great cover as well. I love that. Kind of like utilizing the photograph of the city in the background, and really great. And then the last 3 are from Pacific Comics. This is Vanity #1. In the last video I had issue #2, so now I've got them both. This was 2 1/4. One that I think I showed an ad for recently in one of the videos, Pathways to Fantasy from PC for $2, with some Barry Windsor Smith in there as well. And then finally, one that I've been curious about, Michael Moorcock's Elric, At Last Stormbringer. From what I understand, again, the very little bit of, as I was cataloging this stuff, it looks like there was a few miniseries, and I believe this is issue #6. I believe this is the last issue in this particular miniseries. It's the only book that he had. This was kind of in a section that was various PC comics, where he had kind of 1 or 2 issues from a whole bunch of different series that they didn't need their own little section for, so he just kind of had them lumped in there. This one was $3.50, which is a little more than I wanted to pay for these. I'm sorry, pardon me. Which is a little more than I wanted to pay for these kind of books, but I don't mind doing that every once in a while. I feel like I've gotten such fantastic deals on all these other books that I've got recently that I don't mind doing one where it's a little bit out of my comfort range, which is funny because at the end of the day, it's only $3.50. It's not the end of the world, but you know, $1 or 50 cents is much better. But anyway, there you go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed yet another video from me, and look at some more, I don't know, oddities and cool looking shit. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you.